Today we are here with Sam Colaizzi. If anyone else like myself is tired of running a car wash or a nail salon, you're in the right room. So let's get a little excited, learn how some of these criminals are laundering, monetizing, and running in this whole crazy crypto world. So without further ado, Sam Colaizzi.
All right. Everyone hear me all right? Good. All right. So my name is Sam Colaizzi. I am a threat intelligence analyst with Recorded Future. Within Recorded Future, I am part of our advanced cybercrime and engagements team. So we handle crypto quite often, whether we're dealing with various threat actors, purchasing things. So I figured this would be an awesome topic to speak on because we deal with it on a day-to-day basis. However, before we get started, one of the things I wanted to go over a little bit of an agenda here. I know that within the crypto space, there are varying levels of knowledge and understanding. So I just wanted to go over some basic definitions before we kind of dove into things a little bit more, like the laundering, monetization methods, then going into the attacks against crypto, NFTs, as well as smart contracts. And then we'll attempt to look a little bit into the future because this is such an ever-changing ecosystem. It's a little hard to predict at times and a little hard to make an assessment on, but we'll attempt to do that today. I just wanted to bring up this quote from Satoshi Nakamoto. It is the individual or group of individuals who possibly created Bitcoin. Still up for debate if it was one person or a group of individuals. So I think this quote, I really like it because it embodies what Bitcoin was intended to be. It was intended to be decentralized and kind of divorced from any state, government, or bank. It was meant to be the coin of the people, essentially. So moving into some of the definitions that we have here, I'm sure a lot of individuals have heard of the term altcoin before. So what an altcoin is essentially any cryptocurrency token that is not a Bitcoin. And then we actually have Bitcoin itself. So this is the original decentralized currency. It was initially founded and distributed to the public in January of 2009. And the white paper demonstrating this was actually released a few months prior in October of 2008 by Satoshi. Again, either individual or group of individuals are still not sure yet. And then we have, I'm sure many as you have heard, a blockchain. So I know the word gets thrown out quite a bit, but in the basic sense, the blockchain is an unchangeable digital ledger that we use to track transactions, and they're conducted in sequential blocks. And they follow a various protocols for the various tokens that are out there. So whether it's the Ethereum blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, the Monero blockchain. So again, various blockchains for various coins. And then what we have is a cold wallet. I actually have one here. This is what we use at Recorded Future. They are little digital ledgers. Looks like a USB drive almost. So what these cold wallets are is they are hardware wallets, and they are used to store private keys. So I cannot access any of my crypto unless I actually have this specific wallet plugged into this computer or any other computer with the program. Next, I want to go over a little bit of what a cryptocurrency exchange is. So it's essentially a digital market where you can buy, sell, trade, and cash out crypto. So think things like Binance, FTX, rest in peace, uh, Crypto.com, OKX, Bybit, things like that on that level. Then we also moving into crypto mining. So who attempted to buy a graphics card in 2020, 2021? Crypto miners really kind of ruined that whole scene because they bought up them all because you need an immense amount of graphical processing power to be able to compile the blockchain and then solve transactions. And these miners are actually rewarded for solving the problems or mathematical problems that are associated with mining to be able to put the blockchain together. And then they actually get a little small fraction of that. And if you multiply that, if you have 10 mining rigs and you're doing it 24 hours a day and heating your home as well as others around you, you're going to be making quite a bit of money. I think it was in New York, actually, they outlawed crypto mining because of how much of a drain it had on their power grid. And now moving into the final set of definitions, the Ethereum request for comments 20, ECR 20. So what this is essentially a basic set of guidelines that guides the Ethereum blockchain. So any coins on that Ethereum blockchain are governed by ECR20 rule sets. So when you hear ECR20 coin, it is again anything that is on the actual blockchain of the Ethereum blockchain. Next, we had fiat currency. When I first started researching crypto a few years ago, I always thought, well, why is it called a fiat currency? It's not a car. Fiat currency is a currency that is a legal tender that is, stated by a government decree. So the U.S. dollar would be a fiat currency. A euro is a fiat currency. And then we have a hot wallet. So hot wallet, opposite of a cold wallet, it's a software wallet that is usually stored on your computer or some type of software that you would have. So think like Exodus wallet, it would be a software wallet. They're a little bit more susceptible to malicious attacks because of their ability to be hosted and connected to the internet. And then we have everyone's favorite, non-fungible tokens. So as you see, my not stolen, I just copy and pasted off the internet, picture of various Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. And if you are so inclined, you can go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, like Seth Green and numerous other individuals have done, and get a picture of a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. So what they are basically is a unique set of drawings, pictures, some type of commodity that has a set value to it that you own because it says it does on the Ethereum blockchain. You own a piece of that in the digital ledger. And then finally, before smart contracts, we have some private keys. These are essentially the keys to your house or the keys to your kingdom. You wouldn't want anyone with your private key because then they'd be able to get access to your wallet. So if someone found this on the ground, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to get into it because it's PIN coded. But if you knew my PIN, you would essentially be able to validate my private key with this specific USB looking drive. Then same thing with software wallets. If you need to recover, I know with Exodus, if you have to recover your said wallet, you need a recovery key, which is essentially your private key to be able to recover those funds or at least gain access to that software wallet again. And then last but not least are smart contracts. What they are is they're essentially digital contracts that facilitate a rules-based enforcement. So one of the types of smart contracts that I will talk about in a little bit are flash loans. And a flash loan is essentially an agreement with an individual that you will pay them back. You are borrowing money on a non-collateral basis that you promise to pay them back. And if it doesn't, then that smart contract will obviously be outstanding and that person can go after you. So again, just a digital agreement. All right, now we're going to get into some of the fun stuff. So in terms of laundering methods of crypto, I put this before monetization because in a lot of the research that we've done, we've seen that this part comes before some of the monetization and cash out. They're kind of blocks of choose your own adventure of how you want to attempt to clean or launder or even monetize some of your crypto, whether you are a ransomware threat actor or just an individual selling credit card dumps. So one of the top ways that we've seen threat actors and illicit users of crypto kind of talking and advertising and promoting, again, are Ledger and Trezor. This specific wallet is a Ledger. I actually just saw them at Best Buy like 2 weeks ago, so I'm kind of surprised they're getting more and more popular now. And then you have Trezor, so just the different version of what this specific little wallet is. And then you have some of the other digital wallets like Bitcoin Core, Wasabi Wallet, Trust Wallet, Electrum, Exodus, which I had mentioned before. I do have an Exodus software wallet, Dragonera, Unstoppable. And then Feather is actually a Monero only wallet. So a lot of individuals will use that for that privacy focused coin because it's one of kind of the only privacy focused ones for that specific token. And then I like these cross-chain swaps because I always thought this was funny. I always thought this was kind of the wish.com of mixing. This is if you wanted to go ahead and attempt to mix your coins yourself. So cross-chain swaps allow users and other individuals to swap tokens from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Monero back to Bitcoin. So you're essentially creating anonymity through obscurity. You're going through a bunch of hoops and attempting to launder or mix your own funds by obscuring them of, hey, I'm going from Bitcoin to Ethereum Ethereum, back to Bitcoin, to Monero, back to Ethereum, then cashing out. Because again, you're obscuring more than anything. And then we're actually going to talk about one of my favorite mixers here. So right here, we have on the right-hand side there is Anonymity mixer. If there's any law enforcement, don't shut this one down. This is my favorite. I really enjoy using this one. It's easy. So Anonymity mixer is only hosted on an Onion service right now. They did have a ClearNet domain at one point. Anonymity mixer is neat because, as you can see, the UI is very, very simple. And the user experience is actually great, whoever designed this. So you actually go in, you will type in your address, you'll put in the information that you want, and it'll actually give you a countdown of like, hey, you have this much time to deposit these tokens. These are the wallets that are going to, these are the fees that are going to be charged for it. Please send this exact amount, no more, no less, and we'll take care of everything else on the back end. So another version of that are Yomix, which Yomix is okay. It's advertised on a lot of kind of mid and top tier forums. Then you have Comedy Cash Out. You're going to see this again. Comedy Cash Out, it was hard to fit in a category because it's not only a mixer, but it's also a type of peer-to-peer exchange. It's also a high-risk exchange, but it's also an over-the-counter exchange to a certain extent. And then you have Sinbad.io. There is a lot of speculation that Sinbad is possibly a reincarnation of Blender.io, which kind of brings me into my next point here. Blender.io and Tornado, Fox Mixer, Chip Mixer, and Blitz Lotto are actually very popular, were very popular mixers. And I wanted to bring these up because these are integral, or these mixers were integral into a lot of the anonymization and tumbling of cryptocurrency for a lot of popular attacks. So Blender.io was used to launder funds from Ronin network. It was suspected that, I think the FBI actually came out recently with a press release accusing them, formally accusing APT38, which is a North Korean APT group, of stealing roughly $600 million from the Ronin network. And they started to launder those funds through Blender.io, and is actually sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury's Department of Foreign Asset Control, OFAC. And then Tornado Cash, similar. This was another attack by APT38. They stole about $100 million worth of crypto from the Harmony Bridge, and they started to launder those funds through Tornado Cash. Then you have Fox Mixer, which was seized by law enforcement. Chip Mixer was a very popular mixer that was used by various ransomware groups. So I'm sure everyone has heard or at least had to deal with ransomware. This is how they were taking some of those funds and then laundering them. And then Blitz Lotto was an interesting case. It's a Russian firm that deals with crypto, but also on the back end, they were doing very, in my mind, Russian things and laundering funds and laundering funds from markets, and then ransomware, while the Russian government was kind of turning a blind eye to that. And they were actually sanctioned very recently by OFAC. And next, so we have the peer-to-peer exchange. So I like to kick this off, or at least in my mind, if you are a threat actor, this would kind of not be the first place I would go if you were attempting to at least launder your crypto. I would attempt to do some cross-chain swaps first, and then go to something like a peer-to-peer exchange. So what this peer-to-peer exchange is has anyone ever been on Craigslist? I'm sure all of us have. You post for sale, buy, or want ads. That's essentially what we are doing here. We are placing a for sale or want or, hey, I'm giving this away type deal. There's extremely limited know your customer, so KYC for those that work in the financial industry. And there's also very limited anti-money laundering policies as well that govern this specific type of exchange. And then as I said, various advertisements are posted to it. And then some of the more popular ones that we've seen discussed are Agoradesk, Bisq, Local Monero, Peach Bitcoin. I've only attempted to use Agoradesk, and I tried to use Peach Bitcoin, had limited success with it. But I actually want to show you what Agoradesk actually looks like, and I don't want to step too far away from the mic. So right there, you have your seller column. So these are individuals that are actually posting for sale ads of their cryptocurrency of, hey, I want to, I can't see it. I want to, you can buy my Bitcoin that I have. You can send me cash by mail, and that's the rate of the Bitcoin that second to the right column that I'm going, or second to the left column that I'm going to charge you for it. And then that's the I can't see that last column. I apologize. But yeah, you have your seller, your payment method, and then your actual price that they're charging for the Bitcoin. So again, you can see that tab all the way up in the top corner there of the buy and sell. So you can buy, sell, post an ad, and then this specific peer-to-peer exchange deals in both Bitcoin and Monero. So next, we're going to move on to high-risk exchanges. So I mentioned this topic a little bit ago of a high-risk exchange. So what you have here, again, similar to peer-to-peer, little to no implementation of KYC or AML policies to be able to at least govern a lot of these specific exchanges. And I also wanted to highlight here the importance of these high-risk exchanges. Similar to those mixers that I talked about before, OFAC actually between September of 21 and April of 2022 sanctioned SUEX, ChatX, and GuaranteeX, which were three large high-risk cryptocurrency exchanges that were laundering and handling funds from Ryuk, MaaS, Conti, and Revol. So those exchanges, I don't have the list up there. Again, we're handling funds from those various ransomware groups. So what we have here is an exchange that functions similar to what you would do with a trusted exchange such as crypto.com, Binance, OKX. So you're essentially going through this marketplace, creating an account, not having to submit any identity verification or anything like that, and being able to convert fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat, being able to store it there. Some of these actually have mixers, which I want to dive into a little bit now. So what we actually have here of that screenshot is a screenshot of XSS, which is a top tier Russian forum that we deal with a lot. And this is translated via Google Translate. So I just right clicked. I don't speak Russian, so I do not know how accurate the transition is, or translation is. But what we have here is Audi A6 mixer. And what this mixer is essentially individuals who are helping you buy and sell crypto. So you can go from cash to Bitcoin is that top option. You can also exchange cryptocurrency for QR codes, which you can redeem at, I think some of the banks are listed there, Bank, Tinkoff, which are banks based in Eastern Europe. So I'm sure a lot of you can imagine how that can be abused, or at least how it possibly was abused, especially with all the sanctions that the US had imposed. And what is neat about specifically Comedy Cash Out and Audi A6 Exchanger, both of these exchanges are pinned and have advertisements on two of the top tier Russian forums where a lot of initial access brokers advertise, where a lot of ransomware actors frequent, and just where a lot of those individuals kind of hang out, talk, chat. So again, these are in places that are well seen and well known. And then you have Infinity Exchanger, Exchange, and Wizard Swap. These are more, again, more like the traditional crypto.com, Binance type exchanges. They're not exactly one for one. I'm not saying that they are, but they are similar to it. It's kind of the closest thing that you would have. And then one thing I forgot, some of them also have mixing functions. It's all the way down at the bottom there. So some of these high-risk exchanges will also have mixing in them. So it's kind of a one-stop shop of, hey, I also want to convert my crypto, but first I need you to clean it. They offer that service. Of course they do. And then the next is virtual credit cards. So the monetization methods used with virtual credit cards, you don't want to go directly to a virtual credit card, at least in my experience or the individuals that we've talked to. What you're first going to do is attempt to mix it, to try to do cross-chain swaps, things like that, to be able to at least get to this point to where you can start to load onto a crypto card or load onto a virtual credit card. So we've now moved from laundering to monetization and cash out of crypto. Most of the service providers that we have seen associated with virtual credit cards are Visa and MasterCard. there's anyone that works for Visa or MasterCard, I'm sorry. I would love to speak to you and kind of understand how these cards are issued, a little bit on the backside of it, and what fraud detection methods you have in place, especially for cards like this. Because I was able to, this is an actual screenshot of a card that I had loaded $25 onto. I was able to do it, not create an account. I was able to verify this card. I was able to use it at one point. I did get denied the first time when I tried to use it somewhere for a fraud, anti-fraud measure. So again, good on the website that I actually attempted to use it on first. But this is Pay with Moon. And then you also have EZO card, VCC Pro, waiver card. So again, just kind of a bunch of different options to actually get into the virtual credit card game or world of attempting to load funds onto them. And then once you load the funds on, to a certain extent, you can use these such as traditional debit or credit cards. You can kind of enter any information that you want on the payment website or checkout website. Again, I did get denied once, but I was able to use it the second e-commerce retailer that I had tried to use it at. And then what we also have lastly, and I'm going to use this term again, over the counter. What we have here is an over the counter virtual credit card exchange. So think of in a movie, a sense of like a guy with a jacket, hood comes out, hey man, I can get you what you need. This is essentially what these virtual credit card services are these individuals that are advertising on low tier forums like Nulled and Cracked of, hey, if you send me Bitcoin or any type of illicit crypto, I will throw it onto a virtual credit card and I'll give you that number. Sure, you will. So again, a lot of these are scams from what we have seen, but it's still out there. It's still being advertised. Someone might fall for it that doesn't necessarily know a lot about crypto. I wouldn't consider super top tier actors going and seeking out this type of activity or this type of service on Nulled or Cracked. Coming back up right again here is over-the-counter exchanges. It's almost like I planned for it. So a lot of these over-the-counter exchanges are actually handled on both Telegram and Discord. So using those peer-to-peer chat applications, they'll post an advertisement on a forum of, hey, I have an exchange. I'll exchange, Bitcoin to Ethereum or Litecoin to Monero for you. All you have to do is join my Telegram channel or join my Discord channel, or hey, go ahead and message me on Telegram. I don't have my other phone with me to kind of bring it up or mirror, but they're kind of crudely set up in terms of like, hey, we have these various rooms. For those of you that have been on Discord, at least, they have various rooms set up for, hey, I want to exchange Bitcoin, or hey, I want to exchange Monero. So we see some of those, that type of activities. So it's, as I said, done through an outside broker. And then what you actually have are, in some cases, fiat cash or fiat to crypto transfer service. And then what you're doing is you're essentially paying a fee. So say you want $10,000 in crypto, you may have to pay $20,000 or $15,000 in a fiat currency to even get $10,000 in Bitcoin. So this is a very expensive method for individuals to attempt to try. So say I wanted $1,000 in Bitcoin. Again, I may have to pay $2,000 in a fiat currency to even be able to obtain clean Bitcoin, or what they deem clean Bitcoin or a clean currency. And then similar to what I had mentioned earlier, some of these services, and I think I may have a screenshot on the next page of one of the advertisements for the QR codes, but after the conflict in Ukraine started in February of 2022, for the several weeks and months after that, we saw a lot of individuals on top tier forums saying, hey, I will cash out funds for individuals in Eastern Europe, and we'll actually give you a QR code, and you can go to Tinkoff or Serb Bank, which are banks that are based in Eastern Europe, specifically Russia. There's a lot of Tinkoff and Serb Bank locations. Next is account verification services and wallet unblocking. So this, in my head, or what I kind of look at it as, fake it till you make it. So if you really don't want to go through any of these other methods and you want to have your crypto appear somewhat legitimate, I would kind of think this would be a last phase to that. And it is actually obtaining a legitimate account on something like Binance or OKX or Bybit. So what you're doing is you're essentially paying, and that's what that ad is. Heck the KYC, stay anonymous. So you have all of your various entities that you can go through. So you can go get a Binance wallet. You can go get a Coinbase account. You can get a PayPal account. And these individuals, we haven't obviously attempted to do this due to the legality of some of the things. Of forging documents for them, what they will do is they will forge documents. They will attempt to bypass the identity verification that these specific platforms have. And again, it's relatively inexpensive. It's, I think, anywhere between $150 to $300 for one of these verified accounts. And then actually, if your wallet gets blocked when you're attempting to take out funds of this account that you created, these individuals also have wallet unblocking services. So they will attempt to show the exchange that, hey, this person isn't violating AML policies, or hey, this person is legit, this crypto is legit. So again, we haven't dealt too much in this. We have seen threat actors. This is probably one of the more popular things that we've seen advertised, again, on low to mid-tier forums of, hey, we can create an account for you. They usually don't give validity rates or anything like that, because I have a feeling they're kind of low, most likely. Next, we're going to jump into both attacks and threats to cryptocurrency. So we are now moving from, I would say, part A of the presentation to kind of part B of, now we're going into the attacks and threats to crypto. So we've learned how threat actors and illicit users have monetized, laundered, and possibly cashed out crypto. Now we want to see, in a certain sense, how they are at least obtaining some of these funds. So I'm sure as everyone is very shocked to see phishing and social engineering are some of the top methods that we are still seeing, at least in this space, of how individuals are losing cryptocurrency. What we're seeing are various phishing pages. So this phishing page on the left here was from Breach Forums, the OG Breach Forums, not the new one. So what we have here is a Coinbase phishing page that was advertised. I want to say this phishing page was about $300. It was fairly convincing, at least to me. So you have all of the right markers, and these would be sent to people specifically for airdrops. And this specific one was for an airdrop, so it should be, I don't have my laser pointer there, but you'll see airdrop in the top bar there. So what an airdrop is, and people will theme phishing campaigns to this, an airdrop is essentially a free token or free gift for joining an exchange. I know everyone likes free stuff, but you have to connect your wallet to it. And as soon as you connect your wallet to it, or you're phished into connecting your wallet to it, all of your funds are gone. Your wallet is no longer yours. You're essentially giving them the private keys to your wallet. So we see this for a lot of, it's kind of the basis for some rug pull scams, which we're going to go into in a little bit. But again, this looks very convincing of, hey, if you join our service, I know when FTX was collapsing, there was actually a deep fake put out of Sam Bankman-Fried, and it was, hey, we're doing an airdrop for individuals who may have lost funds. Click this link and connect your FTX wallet. And what they were doing is they put this video on Twitter, and it got a bunch of likes, retweets, and those individuals had lost even more money off of FTX. And then we have your typical credential theft. So again, very run-of-the-mill phishing credential theft. I won't go too much into that. We have private key compromise. That's, again, connecting or allowing an individual connect to your wallet. And then you're giving them unknown permissions because, again, you think you're just doing something non-malicious of just clicking and saying, yes, I want this thing. And then you have 2FA hijacking. Sorry, that screenshot's a little blown out, but that is for KuCoin. So what we have here, for those of you that are familiar with phishing panels and things like that, so what we have here is a screenshot of two-step verification hijacking. So after you input your password and it goes to 2FA, on the back side of a phishing panel, most individuals are able to see this, or the threat actor is able to see what's happening live, or they're getting notifications via Telegram or Discord where this information is being sent of, hey, someone just attempted to log into your phishing panel. Here's their username, email address. Oh, by the way, we also got a 2FA code for them. So that individual will sit there and it'll spin and the 2FA code will be there, but it's actually being looked at on the backside by a threat actor, or whoever the user is using this, and then they will log into your account for you, and then this page will actually time out, go away, and it'll say error, contact customer support, and you'll contact KuCoin, and then they'll say no, we don't have a login attempt from your specific IP or where you attempted to log into. And then I will explain fraudulent Discord servers a little bit more, but a lot of individuals within the NFT space, specifically Bored Ape Yacht Club, use Discord to use for official communication, which is wild to me that you're like, yep, join our Discord, you can hear our official announcements. Those accounts can't ever be compromised. You'll see in a little bit. Actually, you'll see right now. My note just tripped in my head. So we have here for your fraudulent Discord servers. You know how I mentioned Seth Green before? He was actually the victim of having his Bored Ape Yacht Club image stolen. And what happened was one of the Discord accounts for one of the founders and kind of community guidelines people for Bored Ape Yacht Club had their Discord account compromised. And then the threat actor sent out phishing links to, hey, sign in, or hey, I think they were themed with an airdrop type deal. And then Seth Green clicked it and then lost his Bored Ape Yacht Club, or Bored Ape, I guess you would call them. And he was actually making a show, I think, for them, and he paid several $100,000 to get it back off of the individual that had stolen it. So again, kind of crazy you're paying that much money to get a picture back for a TV show. And then you also have another Discord community manager had their Discord account compromised. They were able to send out phishing links. So you're seeing the pattern. These Discord servers are abused. People can be phished for credentials for them and then send out and have a larger impact within the space. These are even more phishing panels. So this one right here is a Binance theme airdrop. So an airdrop can be themed kind of as anything. So this one is a crypto giveaway box. You can go ahead, click here. The promotion ends in 16 days. And what you do is you sign in, you connect your wallet. And then the one all the way on the left is actually a I think it's from XSS. This was a individual who was offering the design and deployment of phishing panels. So what you have is the landing page NFT creator. So what you essentially have here is for $250, this individual would create a themed phishing page for an NFT that you could kind of either dream or want to target. And it has clickable links through, credential harvesters, things like that. So again, for $250, it's a fairly low bar to entry, especially if you're not super technical, for them to go ahead and even design and deploy that and support it for you. All right. So now we're going to get into some of the more high dollar attacks here. And the next couple slides, I will attempt to kind of explain them as clearly as I can in terms of, yes, this was a piece of an attack that happened in a more complex method possibly. So again, if there is any lack of understanding or if things need to be explained, ask me at the end. I will attempt to kind of clarify even more. So what we have here, the top one are cross-chain bridge attacks. So going back to one of the first definitions that I gave, cross-chain bridge allows for swaps of tokens across chains. So swapping Bitcoin, which is on the Bitcoin blockchain, to Ethereum, which is on the Ethereum blockchain, you need to go through a cross chain to be able to do that. So what we have here is the Ronin network was the one of the more prominent cross-chain bridge attacks. And about $600 million was stolen by APT38, or allegedly stolen by APT38. And essentially how a cross-chain bridge works is what you're doing is essentially using validators. Within the Ronin bridge or Ronin network, there were 5 validators needed, 5 of 9 validators needed to process a transaction. So if you wanted to swap from in-game Ronin currency to Bitcoin, you needed 5 of 9 validators to approve at minimum. What happened was this group through phishing emails or through some other means, was able to compromise individuals who were in possession of 5 of those private keys. And then they were able to just start pulling money out of this platform. And by the time it was noticed, they had actually pulled about $600 million worth of crypto out. They actually did not get away with the entirety of 600 million. I want to say it was close to 400 million. The other couple hundred million was either seized or frozen by Ronin and other U.S. law enforcement agencies during the course of this. So again, $0 or 200 or $300 million is better than $0 for a relatively kind of low sophistication attack of just approving transactions. Something similar happened to Harmony, the Harmony bridge as well. So what you have here, something similar, the private keys, the validator keys that validate transactions to be able to go cross-chain were compromised, and about $100 million was stolen. And then Quibbit Finance, so 80 million was stolen. So right there in those 3 attacks, we have almost $1 billion worth of loss. Even though that the actual loss was probably a little bit less than that, the attributed loss is almost $1 billion. And all of these attacks happened in 2022. These aren't even all of the attacks that happen within the cross-chain bridge environment. And then we have moving on to drainers, which I had alluded to a little bit ago. So drainers are essentially asking to connect to a wallet. So you have very elaborate or not so elaborate phishing pages or some type of lure to get an individual to click or agree to the terms of this. And a lot of what we see specifically with threat actors in this space are the targeting of ECR20 based tokens. So again, anything on the Ethereum blockchain, and NFTs and smart contracts are all hosted on the Ethereum blockchain. Apologies if I didn't mention that before. So what you have here is the set approval for all function, which is usually what gets abused the most in these drainers. I think it was the payment fraud intelligence team with Inside of Recorded Future actually did a white paper on these types of drainers. If you want to learn more about that, they do have a public blog post, I'm pretty sure, on that. So what this SAFA function is, it is a feature of convenience to approve transactions within various exchanges of, hey, I don't want to go ahead and approve this transaction all the time if I'm going to continue to make similar transactions. I want you to do it for me. So what we have here is a threat actor explaining how their system works. So what you have there is your bottom one. Hey, I have NFTs, so you're going green up the other side. Oh, the SAFA function is enabled on this platform. Cool. We're going to take everything out of the wallet. We're taking the NFTs, we're taking all of the tokens, and it prioritizes it by value. So it takes the most high value things first and leaves the things of least value if it doesn't have time to be able to just, again, get the most value out of the theft. And then it goes up that other chain there of events of, okay, well, if there's no NFTs, then we're just going to go get the tokens and then exfil these to a different wallet. So what you have there is, again, these are very heavily advertised on a lot of kind of mid to top tier English and Russian speaking forums. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get into a good drainer for sub $1,000, I would say. And then you also have individuals that are supporting it as well. So we're seeing most of these targeting Seaport, which is part of OpenSea, which is a large exchange or at least platform to be able to exchange NFTs and other goods. All right. Now we're going to get into, this is personally one of my favorite attacks because it makes absolutely no sense. Raise your hand if you would give a loan to someone and they would not give you any collateral for it. All right, cool. No one in this room would. Well, if you go to an exchange, you can get a flash loan, which is an uncollateralized loan within the DeFi space. So decentralized finance space is a space where individuals can conduct activities outside of an intermediary, such as a bank, government, or other institution. So most of the time, these are peer-to-peer software-based organizations or platforms that individuals are using. And what you have here with these flash loans is essentially an individual saying, hey, I'm borrowing $3 million or $5 million. You're going to see some of the amounts that individuals borrowed to conduct these attacks. You're essentially saying, hey, I want to borrow this amount of money. I'm not going to give you anything for it, but I'll pay you back, I promise. And in most cases, the funds that are actually stolen from the platforms or entities that are targeted are actually used to pay back that flash loan. So in a sense, they're using the stolen money to pay back the initial loan that they take to steal money. So again, kind of a roundabout way of getting money in the end. So what you have here with Euler Finance, it happened in March 2023. So not that long ago, $195 million was stolen, but the attacker had a change of heart after Euler Finance asked if they could have the money back. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll give some of it back to you. So they did give a lot. I'm pretty sure they took a black hat fee for finding their vulnerability. So what you have here is the attacker initiated the actual attack with a flash loan of $30 million. So what happened was they took the 30 million, they borrowed 20 million in the platform, and the way the platform works is you have two different sets of tokens, a debt and a credit token, and if it has more debt than credit, it starts to liquidate its assets. So what essentially happened was this individual took it. There was a glitch in the platform that allowed them to, on that $20 million deposit, take out 10 times what it was worth of $195 million worth of that token. And then after that was taken, they were able to start paying back the initial borrowed loan from that 10 million that was left over from the initial 30 million. It's like, you ever see Charlie in that episode of Always Sunny where he's like connecting all the dots? That's how I feel right now. That is what essentially had happened here. So they used the initial 10 million to start to pay back the loan. And then after that happened, they had started to pull the funds out of this platform and this exchange. So I know I'm a little bit short on time, a few minutes left, so I want to go through smart contract vulnerabilities here. I don't think I'm going to get time to go through the actual example attacks, but essentially with a smart contract abuse or vulnerability, what you have here, two of the more prominent attack vectors that we've seen are price oracle manipulation and a reentrancy vulnerability. So price oracle is essentially a stock ticker that tells a platform or an exchange, hey, this is what Bitcoin or this is what this asset is worth at a specific time, time and place. And then there's sometimes a delay on that. So you can see how that can be abused, that there's a delay on seeing how much something of value is, whether it is increased or decreased. If there's a delay, then it can be abused. And then a reentrancy vulnerability, it essentially allows an attacker to make continued calls, the call function on a smart contract to withdraw as much funds as they want. Because again, that the space hasn't necessarily been pen tested and kind of been through the process of being vetted as thoroughly as some of the other things that a lot of you in the room are familiar with, such as APIs or other programs or other things that need to be coded and pen tested and making sure they can't be abused like this. So I won't go into too much of the attacks, but again, flash loans were used in both of them. And what you essentially have here is the flash loan being used to kick off the attack and then being able to, for that second one, the price was different. There was a price difference in it, and they were able to abuse that because the platform saw that the value of the token was way less. So that person kept calling on that till they had their money back out, which allowed it to drain it from their liquidity pool. So this one, API withdrawals, a lot of platforms are going to API withdrawals now. And what we have here is essentially using an API call to start withdrawing funds. Two of the more prominent kind of attacks we've seen, 3 commas, about 10,000 API keys related to 3 commas were leaked and then posted on Twitter. And then Scrooge API is a threat actor on XSS that is advertising an API withdrawal service. So they claim to be able to withdraw if you have some type of API key from one of these exchanges. They claim they are able to start withdrawing funds from it. And then this is a slide I want to get to, it's my favorite. So the Jake Paul and Wish.com Pokemon will make sense in a second. So we have rug pulls, and what essentially a rug pull is building up hype for a project or an NFT or something like that, and then just walking away from it. So they brought in Logan Paul to hype up this game, and then unfortunately the attackers were able to steal about $6 million from individuals that had invested in it, and they just walked away from it. And then pig butchering, think investment and romance scams, but crypto related. Apologize for going a little bit too quick here. And then I probably not going to have time to go through all this, but this is essentially my thoughts on how we are moving forward in terms of being able to either combat, monitor, and minimize theft and abuse and fraud within the crypto space and kind of where it is going. And I think the most important part here is the continued OPSEC lapses, whether that is with individuals within places like Ronin or Harmony. To be able to kind of protect their private keys better, to not being phished. I know that is kind of an oxymoron. It still happens for a reason. But yeah, I apologize. I had to run through that a little bit quick at the end here. If anyone has any questions or comments, concerns, please let me know. You can catch me possibly after or